Hello guys, welcome back to the next tutorial. In this one, we're gonna go through a quick terminal walkthrough using Python, and we're gonna see how we can execute Python commands and kind of declare variables. And I'm just gonna do a quick one so you understand that we can work with Python on a terminal as well. So let's do a quick one, and we're gonna see how we can use the help of Python and all those things. So right now, I'm already in my virtual environment. So let's get out of it and let's show you again. So to get out of the virtual environment, you can just type the command called deactivate, and it's gonna deactivate it, right? So to again get back to it, we env bin and activate. So I'm again showing it so that you guys just get hang of it and you just feel comfortable in it. So now, right now we're in virtual environment. We can just see it's the Python 3.5 and we're in virtual environment, right? So let's go to our Python right now. So if I type Python, I'm into the Python shell and it's Python 3.5.0. That's pretty good, right? So let's see how we can find the help in Python when we are in the Python shell, right? So there's a help command called help, and we can find a help for any Python command. So let's say if I type print. So print is a Python command, and by typing this inside the help function, we can find the help of print command usage, right? So what it shows that help on built-in function print in module built-ins. So which means this print function, it's a function which exists in a module called built-ins, and it's built in Python, right? The way to use is print and then value and then separator and then end and then file sys out optional, all those things. So what it shows is it prints the value to a stream or standard output, and the optional key arguments are, so it prints the value is this is mandatory. In the optional are file if you want to default your stream to a file object, and if not, then it defaults to the standard output, which is the terminal, right? And SCP shows for separator. So this is the string inserted between values. So if you have multiple values, by what separator are they going to be differentiated or separated? So the default is a space. If you put multiple values, they're all going to be separated by a space, but you can mention your own separator as well. You can just mention like SEP equals to and some symbol here or some keyword, and that's going to be behaving like a separator. And n is the string appended after the last value, and the default is new line, which means whenever the print statement completes, it just goes to the new line. So the next statement prints to the new line. So that's the default, but you can put your own version as well, right? Flushes to whether we want to forcibly flush the stream out, right? So right now it's false, but you can change that as well. So this is the help command, right? And how do we get out of this help? Just hit Q and you get out of the help and you just get back to the Python shell. So this is how it works, guys, right? And this looks really amazing. So you can find help of Python inside the Python shell and all those things, right? And you might have noticed that we type help print, and we can optionally use double quotes here instead of single, and it does the same thing. Right? So double quotes or single quotes are up to the own choice, and you can pretty much use anything you want. That's pretty much it. So now let's do one thing. Let's take an example and let's see how print command works. So if I type print hello world, right? So it just prints the hello world, right? And you see that there is no quotes up there right now, and it's just the hello world. So what happens is, if you're coming from Java or some other language background, you might have noticed that we haven't put any semicolon up there after the statement, right? So there's no semicolon needed in Python. It is really smart. It understands that when you're entering the new line, when you're already hitting enter or carriage return, it means that you're done with the line, and there is no semicolon explicitly needed to tell Python that the line is ending. So the new line is the representation of the line ends, and there's no semicolon needed. And when we printed that print hello world, so hello world is an object of type string. So don't worry about things if you don't understand it right now, because we're going to go over the complete details of variables and objects. But in other languages, The things are, when you say hello world, you will assign it to a variable or something called string, right? And then hello world go to a string. But in Python, everything is an object. Then it behaves as a type of string or a type of integer and all those things. But it's nothing like a primitive and non-primitive sort of thing. So hello world is an object of type string. So pretty cool, lot of cool things in Python. So let's say I can just do this thing, 10 plus 10, and hit enter, and it's gonna show me 20. So what happens is, it is an expression which evaluates to the object, and the type of the object is integer. So the value becomes 20, which is an object, and the type of that object is integer. And again, as I mentioned, 10 plus 10, these spaces are also optional. I can just do this, 10 plus 10, 20. So, but we always use spaces around the operator, so just to make the code look neat and clean and more easy to read, right? And pretty much all the operations that are available in C, in case you have done C or any other language, all the math operations are available in Python, and we'll go through a lot of them. So you don't need to worry about them. Plus, multiply, all these operations are available. So they're pretty cool, pretty good, right? So as we were talking about printing, right? So we already saw the help of printing, and if I again show you the help of print, what it shows a value, right? So the print command, it takes the comma separated list of expressions. Basically all the values we can just provide as the comma separated, and it executes all these expressions and then finally evaluates and converts them back to the string representation. So because anything that print statement fleshes out, that's a string representation, and then it finally joins with whatever separator you give. So right now the separator by default is space, so it's gonna join all these expressions to with the space. So you can put any other separator as well, but yes, that's what it does. So basically everything that prints does, it just represents the string representation, right? So here if you see print hello world, it's already a string. That's the string representation, so it left out all those double quotes and all those things. So maybe just to go over a little bit, what I can do is, let's define city and equals, and let's say New York, something like that, any other city, whichever you like. We can just do that, and I'm gonna hit enter. What happened? Nothing. So it just created a string object, and the value of the object is New York, and the reference to that object is city. So this city, this is identifier or variable, anything you can call. This is a reference to the object, and the object is of type string, and the value of the object is New York. So this is the whole stuff going on. And again, the spaces around, they're optional, so I can just say like this as well, and it's just gonna be a perfectly fine thing. So that works up to your own wish. It's just that to make the code look little neat, we just prefer to put spaces, right? So whenever we create these identifiers, right now what I did is I created this identifier city. So what are the options available? It accepts all these small cases, capital cases, 0 to 9, all those things, and an underscore. So these are the rules of creating variables, and we're gonna take a look at variables. So this is just a kind of terminal walkthrough, so don't worry if you feel I'm not understanding variables. Doesn't matter, we will cover that in detail. So it accepts all these things: small, lower cases, upper cases, 0 to 9 numerics, and underscore. The only restriction is that it should not start with the numeric case. It should only start with underscore or capital or small or capital cases. It should not start with the numeric. So any variable cannot start with something like this and ABC, something like this. This is not a valid variable. So this is the only restriction, and there is no restriction on the length of the variable name. It could be like any big city and something, like any big. So there's no restriction on the length of that. So it's pretty good, lot of things. And so just to wrap this up and see the difference between all these printing and this thing. So let's do one thing. I already assigned the value New York to city, so let's type city here. If I type city here, it shows me New York in single quotes, right? That's what it did. So what happens is, when we enter city, it returns the Python object, and the Python object's value is New right? Single quotes and double quotes are exactly the same thing. It doesn't matter, so it can just print anything. So there's no difference. Don't think that I gave the value with double quotes and it's printing out with single quotes. It's exactly the same thing. But let's see if I'm gonna enter print and then city. Let's do something like that. So it's gonna output New York without any single or double quotes. So as I mentioned, that print already represents the string, right? It already converts everything to a string representation and then prints out everything. So that's why it's not printing these double quotes. It already knows that everything what I'm gonna print is gonna be a string type. So don't worry, it's just a string representation. So that's the difference, right? So this is a variable identifier, you can say, and this is we are printing the value of that variable. So that's pretty much it. So this is just a short walkthrough and quick thing with the terminal. Next things we're gonna use is mostly the IDEs, and we're gonna create the variables, create some programs and all those things. So because not a lot of time we're gonna be working on the terminal. So this is a quick walkthrough. I would say just practice a little bit, type some help commands, type some additions, multiplications, and some variables, assign some variables, and that should be good enough. Finally, how do we exit this terminal? Just hit Control D and you're gonna be out of this variable, this terminal of Python shell, right? And if you wanna exit the virtual environment, just say deactivate, and you're gonna be out of this. And now you are in your normal shell. So that's pretty much it, guys. Thanks for ending this one. Stay tuned for the next one. Thanks, guys.